I'm Kat, and today I'm going to give you a presentation on parody. Is there a need for change in the current UK copyright law? So, first I will start by giving you an overview of what's going to be covered in this presentation. So I'll start by defining parody, and then, just so we're all on the same page, and then giving an explanation as to where parody is in today's UK copyright law. I will then look at two examples of parodies, both of which have been taken to court, which are Newport State of Mind and Moshi Monsters' Lady Goo Goo. And then we will hear the arguments for and against a change in the law, before looking at two more examples of each, which is Oh Pretty Woman and local act Jollyboat. I will then give a conclusion and then open up the floor to any questions, so be nice to me. So, parody. Is there a need for a change in today's UK copyright law? A parody imitates a work of music, art or literature for the purpose of making playful fun or joke at the original work, usually mocking or pointing out shortcomings. There is currently no exception in the law today for parody, pastiche, satire or caricature, so technically any of these can be accused of copyright infringement. The issue with this is that each new work is a work in its own right, and therefore, as we know, copyright is only of a thing, not of an idea. Of course, when the music is used with different lyrics or recording rights should still go to the original artist. However, parody, pastiche and satire become a legal grey area within today's entertainment industry. So first, Newport State of Mind is a video which is a clear parody of Jay-Z and Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind. It received over 2 million views on YouTube in 2 weeks before being taken down by EMI Music Publishing for copyright infringement claims. The director of the video meant no harm in what he did, however he was an infringement of EMI Music Publishing's copyright, as he used the original sound recording, music, similar lyrics and a similar video. Despite a meeting after the infringement claim to seek permission to keep the video on YouTube, Newport State of Mind was taken down. However, as we all know, once something is uploaded onto the internet, it will always be there. And so you might notice that the clip I'm going to show you was in fact taken from YouTube. Everything I talk about the videos and sometimes the lyrics will be on Twitter throughout the presentation, so you can have a look later on if you're interested. So it's just a reminder of the original song.
Long in the World Trade, long in the kingdom, I'm from the Empire State.
And the parody version, notice the similarity in the video as well as the characters looking like Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. Where's my sound?
Yeah, I'm up at Ridgeway. Now I'm down the moorings, right next to the Debenhams, and I'll be poor forever. Yes, it is my lifeblood. These streets, they are a part of me. The yin to my yang, the craig to my belly. Catch me in the kitchen. I love cheese, I melted it. Caffeine bread and I'm a presto, it's a rabbit. Head out to Korean, off-white transit for breeze on the dash for the chain when my nan sets out for the big one. Sniffing on the meow meow. DJ on the ones on two, spinning little bow wow. On the dance floor raving, pack a 60 Benson. Someone fighting bouncers, turned out it's Gavin Henson. Big up to play Cymru, and the Welsh Assembly. Big up to Millennium, we don't need no Wembley. Keep your big apple, we'll have a tangerine. Bugger up the Alicia, Shirley buses are queen. Here we stay together, like birds of a feather. Except we're not from too well, we're from the small West Town.
So that was Newport State of Mind, which you can find on YouTube if you just click on the link. So next we're going to look at Moshi Monsters, which is a children's game and social network launched in 2008 and now has over 50 million registered users. Since then, is expanded into merchandise, magazines, cards, mobile apps, and is looking at releasing an album under their Moshi Monsters music label with their character songs. Most of their characters, or all of their characters actually, are parodies of already well-known artists, with examples Dustbin Beaver, Banana Montana, Broccoli Spears, 49 Pence, and Lady Goo Goo, who we're going to look at today. So before we go on to that, I'll just show you a clip of the video in question. I'll be amazed if you're not singing that song in the break. So this is Lady Goo Goo. Lady GaGa brought Mind Candy, the creators of Moshi Monsters, to court to stop the impending release of the Moshi dance song, which you just saw some of. It was performed by the character Lady Goo Goo. Lady GaGa wanted an injunction because she claimed that the song would be in direct competition of her in the charts, and that it was trespassing on her core fan base. The emergency case was to stop the song being released. However, a trial was agreed for a later date to look at the actual character and see if it could be confused with the real Lady GaGa. The full trial was arranged for a later date, and Lady GaGa managed to prove that fans could and were confusing the real Lady GaGa with Mind Candy's Lady Goo Goo, and that Moshi Monsters was using Lady GaGa's fame and reputation to sell Lady Goo Goo products. The court realised that there was nothing clearly showing that the two were unrelated, and it'd be very easy for the general public to think that Lady Goo Goo was a purposeful association with Lady GaGa. Therefore, the courts prohibited any promoting, advertising, selling, distributing, or otherwise making available to the public the Moshi dance or any musical work or video which purports to be performed by a character by the name of Lady Goo Goo, or which otherwise uses the name Lady Goo Goo or any variant thereon. Basically, completely banned. So, on to more legal stuff. So, the GaGa's Review of Intellectual Property was released in 2006 and made several suggestions for change to the UK intellectual property law. However, it clearly stated that the only way to release a parody without a copyright infringement case and without an exception for parody in the law was to ask permission from the copyright owner. Following this, the Hargreaves Report was commissioned by David Cameron and released in May 2011 and suggested an exception in the UK copyright law for parodies and for a general modernisation of the current law for the digital age. So, why should we change the law? Well, in order for a work to count as a parody, it needs to be close to the original anyway, so it means it will almost always be in copyright infringement. According to Professor Hargreaves, the introduction of a parody exception would result in a £1 million cost saving per annum and could generate an additional economic growth of between 130 and 650 million pounds per annum. This is due to the importance of small and innovative firms creating jobs and aiding in innovative growth. However, the cost of intellectual property licenses and the threat of court cases currently inhibits these creators from coming into the market and aiding the economy. Another one is copyright owners are unlikely to grant licenses as they don't particularly like to be made fun of in the public eye. Other countries such as the US, Australia and the Netherlands have an exception for parodies in their copyright law. The EU has sanctioned a parody exception, however the UK decided not to take this on. The current law in the UK means that UK comedians face legal barriers and makes it more difficult for them to compete in the global market. And this is due to the financial costs of court cases and takedown notices. Consumer Focus states that the UK is one of the most expensive countries in the world to resolve copyright issues through the courts. Most people do not have the finances to support a case in the High Court, so they avoid commercialising on anything that could be defined as caricature, parody or pastiche. And this includes national art galleries who avoid exhibiting any work that could be seen as copyright infringement as they fear being sued. A change in the law would create a consistent guideline for courts to follow, as at the moment everything is tried per case, so even if you find something that is similar to your case and was ruled in your favour, that might not be the case for you. And the biggest argument seems to be it inhibits creativity. The UK has a rich history of parody, pastiche and caricature, but not only within the music industry, but the entertainment industry as a whole. For example, BBC shows such as Allo Allo and Private Eye, and as early on as T.S. Eliot's time with his book The Wasteland. All of this, including companies like the BBC, are currently in a legal grey area. But why should we keep the law as it is? With 60 hours of video footage being uploaded to YouTube every minute, UK Music argues that there's practically no evidence of parody being suppressed. According to the consultation document on the Garage Review, as well as UK Music, there's limited evidence of there being a large issue, and that seeking licensing permission is still the correct way forward. The law does not seem to have gotten in the way of successful parodies such as BBC's Private Eye, as mentioned before. There are famous artists such as Weird Al Yankovic, who has been nominated for 10 Grammys and won 2 of them, and his entire career is based on parodies. However, he asks permission from every celebrity that he parodies before releasing anything. Synchronization and licensing creates 10 to 15% of music publishing income. Creating an exception for a parody means that people could use this as a reason not to acquire a license, claiming that their use is a parody. It is not possible to identify how much of this percentage is specifically for parodies, but it is known that a change in the law would make a significant decrease in it. And the work could be exploited for commercial gain and claim it as a parody, therefore leaving the original author with no royalties for that use. This is already happening with businesses releasing free CDs with a critique at the beginning of each track, claiming it as fair use. Some artists could also release cover versions of tracks claiming that they're parodies, therefore not paying anything to the original composer. So I'm going to give you 2 more examples for and against, but before I start I'll give you 2 more quick definitions. So, fair use is the copying of copyrighted material done for limited and transformative purposes, such as to comment upon, criticise or parody a copyrighted work. If your use qualifies for fair use, then it will not be considered a copyright infringement. Fair use is what parodies use in the United States against copyright infringement claims. However, it's usually only valid if it's not for commercial purposes. Moral rights allows the authors of literature, dramatic, musical and artistic works and film directors to be identified as the author of works created and to object to their work being used in a derogatory manner. So, Oh Pretty Woman. 2 Live Crew approached Roy Orbison for a license to parody his famous song Oh Pretty Woman. The request was denied, however, 2 Live Crew went ahead and recorded and produced and released the song anyway. This case was tried in the US under US law, and so 2 Live Crew claimed that it was fair use, and the judge agreed that the parody version was not taking away from Roy Orbison's market. Therefore, 2 Live Crew won the case despite them using it commercially and infringing on Roy Orbison's moral rights. Here's just a reminder of the song in question. The next version, you might not be able to hear the lyrics very well, so listen closely. And the lyrics are available if you want to click on the link. That should be on your Twitter feed, I can't see it. picture. So now we're on to Jollyboat, who are, most of you will probably heard about, seeing as they graduated from, well, one of them did. But they're a local musical comedy duo who have won numerous awards and competitions, including the UK National Comedy Awards, and have had 5-star reviews for their Edinburgh Fringe shows. The most well-known song when starting out was Pirates, which parodied many well-known songs from artists such as U2, Queen and Katy Perry. As they started getting more publicity, they started performing Pirates less, due to the current copyright law and not wanting to be accused of infringement. This is a prime example as how the current law is inhibiting creativity. However, the video is clearly for entertainment purposes only, as you'll see now.
I'm entering the tavern in the pirate's way, drink the rum and it tastes just like Coleman's Ola. It's Ola. She wears a dress so I can't understand why there's hair on the chest and a coconut pounds my it's Ola. Zola. Leprosy. Little bits keep falling off of me. I am not half the man. Oh, I'm diseased with leprosy. I have poisons. Spanish rain, that's what the peg legs for. I'll have on if I carry on like this. That's what the peg legs for. But I still haven't found what this hook is for.
So, with the current law how it is, Jollyboat would have to ask permission from every artist they parody. The likelihood of Katy Perry getting back to them and granting a license is minimal. However, I do believe that the law should stay as it currently is, as at the moment there's too much scope for misuse in the exception. With cases like Pretty Women that we just saw, it shows that despite the parody also being an infringement of Roy Orbison's moral rights, the Two Live Crew case still won, and they were earning money for derogatory use of someone else's creativity. Although both the Gowers and Hargreaves reviews on intellectual property give prime examples as to why there should be a change, they do not seem detailed enough to give a strong enough point. There was about an equal vote from the general population for and against an exception in the law, as suggested in both the Gowers and Hargreaves reviews. Those who were against an exception in the law stated it because there were no clear limitations, such as excluding the use of parody for commercial endorsement and limiting it for use only for approaching problems within particular groups of people. At the moment, there does not seem to be a large issue with small-time parodies, as more attention is paid as the acts get bigger. I believe in order for parody to receive the credit it deserves, it needs to be a much more specific regulation or law about it, rather than providing an exception with no clear limitations, therefore opening artists up to more harm than good.
Any questions for Kat on parody?
Yeah. Do you think that sometimes the parody might encourage the original audience for the original artist, and it might not actually have bad publicity, it's just slightly funny and might resurface again?
Yeah. So the question is, can the parody actually, rather than taking audience and money away from the original, can it actually add to the popularity of the original? So can it actually promote the original?
Well, I sort of looked into this a bit, because there's always that saying that any publicity is good publicity. But it really just depends on the artist. A lot of the time, if you're in the charts all the time, for example, as Callum spoke about yesterday, like Lady Gaga, who's always in there at some point, she doesn't want something taking away from her. So if it's in the charts at the same time, a lot of the time people find something funny and they'll probably go for that over the original. So in that case, you know, you don't want a parody there, but sometimes it can help for things that are not as well known, and then if people find it funny and enjoy it, they might look at it. So I think it really just depends on who it is and what the parody is. If it's making fun of it, like the Newport State of Mind it was making fun of it in the way that it was talking about Newport instead of New York. But then you've got the Pretty Women example when they were, well, it was a really bad version of it, like it was out of tune and everything, but they were just changing the lyrics to make fun of it rather than just have fun creating something.
Thanks, Connie. Have any more questions? I've got a quick question.
Okay.
It's not that bad. Do we know how much money parodies make? So do we know how much Lady Gaga would effectively lose if I went and bought Lady Goo Goo instead?
No, I couldn't find anything like that. I didn't look into it too much. It was more just the legal side of it. But I think again it would just depend per artist, because with licensing in general, it depends. There's normally like a fixed price, but I mean, if it's Lady Gaga, she's massive, so she will ask for something really huge. There's people like Weird Al Yankovic, where, I mean, he does pay for the license, obviously, because of music rights, recording, all that kind of stuff, but sometimes he does get to do it for free and just gives a percentage of the royalties, for example, to the original artist instead of just paying.
Thank you very much.